Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Wednesday Live. Welcome to Home Built Workshop. I hope all of you are doing awesome. We got a great start to the day. Paul's here. Paul, you beat me. Paul says good morning. Oh, good morning, Paul. How are you this fine Wednesday morning? All is well. All is well. We got a great morning here. We're kind of in this little lull between rainstorms. Like the last few days have been really nice. I'm liking it. Look at this. Look at no beanie. Can you believe it? I do have a long sleeve on, but I'm not all bundled up. Paul is doing fine. This is just working. Right on, man. Yeah, we're fixing to get to work around here too. As soon as we're done with the live. I got a little bit of stuff to wrap up. We'll get to that here just in a few minutes. We'll give everybody a chance to get tuned in, to get settled in. I've gotten settled in with some tasty coffee. I hope all of you are settled in with your beverage of choice or a sandwich or whatever. Oh, you can see just a little bit of what I'm working on here. It's peeking out. I'll show you that here very soon. All right. So I had big plans this morning for the live stream. I was going to do some different stuff. Neptune's is here. Neptune says, hey all. Hey all. And Brian's here. Brian says, good day, everyone. Hope your week is going well. Brian, what's going on? How are you doing? How's everything in Germany this morning? Harry Dude. Harry Dude says, what's up? Good evening, good morning, or just plain hello. I like that. Just plain hello. What's up, dude? Yeah, so this morning, I've mentioned it before that I've been working on using, like, transitioning over to using like OBS for the live stream so I can use a little better camera and microphone and all that. I've got the laptop all basically rebuilt. Everything is working fantastic, and I've been testing, practicing, and getting things set up in OBS to live stream through that. I tested it inside the house, and everything was working good, and I was all excited. Like, today I'm going to live stream through that with a different camera. And I got everything out here and started getting it set up out here. And I don't know why that was buzzing. I found out that if I have the laptop, which is right here, sitting on the bench, I don't have a good internet connection. But if it sits over here near this window that's next to me, then I get internet. Yeah. So I don't have anything to set it on here. So I got to build some sort of a stand or something, a little laptop arm thing that I can set it on. So that my dreams were crushed this morning. But I had every intention of streaming with a different camera this morning. So we're back to the old trusty iPad. Don't worry, we'll get it. We'll get it. Yeah, I found if it's sitting here on the bench, the signal's just not strong enough. So yeah. Anyway, hopefully next week I might try to throw something together this afternoon that I can set the little laptop arm or something on. But that was the plan. The best laid plans. Anyway, let's see. Brian says, I'm well. We're having a tough week in school this week. You know, are you coming up to the end of the school year there? Or are you like in the middle of the school or something? I know here, our schools pretty much are wrapping up in the next week or so. Next week, I know for my daughter's school is the last week. And I know other schools in the area. And I feel like as the schools wind down that, everybody gets all jacked up for the end of school, and there's an excitement, and I don't know. I don't know if that is contributing to any of the difficulties you're facing, but we'll make it, man. I'm wishing you the best. You got this. Dallas here. Dallas says, good morning there. Good morning, Dallo. How are you? Mike's here too. Mike says morning. Robert says got the notification today. Yeah, right on. I'm glad. You don't have to catch the replay. Right on, Robert. Brian says yes. End of year. 14 school days left. The students are just insane. Yeah, I feel like that definitely contributes. That last week or two, everybody's amped up to finish the school year and get into the summer stuff. But yeah, 14 days left, man. You got this. You can do it. We have. Let's see. They have no school Friday. We have 2 days this week, one full day next week, and then a couple of half days, and they're done, which is nuts. I can't believe it. We're going to be into summer. Well, the summer vacation anyway. Neptune says, yeah, school wrapping up. Woohoo! Daughter's graduating high school. Right on. Give her our congratulations. That's awesome. Robert says we've been getting a bunch of rain over here the last few days. My yard is getting pretty tall. I was able to finally mow the bulk of it yesterday. Right on. It's always a nice little win when you get to mow the grass. We're not at the grass mowing stage yet, although if we keep getting some moisture like we have been, that might be at least doing a little bit. That's why last week I decided to get the mower out and get everything ready to go, and it's ready. I got the blades sharpened, I got the engine serviced, and got the plastic busted pieces all fixed, and that old thing's ready to keep chugging along for who knows how much longer. I enjoy mowing. I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit, I don't know, monotonous, but there's something I like about it. Just cruising around, mowing the grass. I enjoy that. Neptune says, will do, thanks. Right on. No problem, man. That's awesome. That's a big day. Robert says, Neptune's congrats to your daughter. Right on. So, what have we been working on around here? Well, I showed you last week some of the parts that I was working on for the stand for my daughter. I've got that thing done. We wrapped it up. Well, yeah, she helped me a little bit yesterday. I'm going to try to scoot over a little bit without losing our internet connection and kind of show you, because I can't really bring the project to you. So I'm going to try to bring you to the project. Hang on, a little bumpy. So I can't really fit this whole thing in the camera because it's giant. Like, it has been a challenge the last 2 days as I'm putting everything together. So these are the uprights that I was showing last week, and yeah, everything's assembled. These crossbars on there. I ended up using dowels. We were brainstorming that last week. I made a Harry dude, I think you said 3D printed dowel drilling jig, and that's exactly what I did. So yeah, it worked really good. I made it two-sided so that I could, let's see here if I can show you. So I can put that on there, drill the dowels, and then I was able to flip it over. I don't have a scrap. Yes, I do. I was able to flip it over, and there's some registration things here. Let's see, how did I do that? There we go. Drill the dowels using the same holes so I knew everything was in alignment, and then I got doweled in there. It worked really good. The hard part was putting everything together, lining up. There's 2 dowels in each one, and then there's 2 slats on the bottom. Let's see if I can show you that. There we go. So trying to line up the dowels in this plane as well as this plane while working with something that is very large compared to my shop size was a little bit challenging. Like, I was sweating when I got it done, and not because it's heavy or anything. It's just I was trying to hurry before the glue set up, and yeah, I only dropped this one. The upper one only fell off of there once and like just about hit me on the head. But yeah, I got that thing together. Then we got these pipes on here, some little 3D printed caps. These are multicolored because, well, that's what Haley wanted. I asked her what color she wanted, and she wanted it multicolor. So yeah, this thing's all done. All I have to do is shoot basically the intro and the end of the video. I've got it mostly edited. The plan is to get that out this weekend. You'll get to see this thing come together. So if you missed some of it, this is a stand for holding saddle blankets, basically show pads. As my daughter started to get some of her own items like that, she is nowhere near where she needs this, but in the future, I imagine she will. So yeah, I just thought it'd be kind of cool. It's one of those projects that just comes up not planned, but just something that, you know, I want to do. I keep I've talked about it before. I keep a running list of projects and things and stuff that I want to work on, and a lot of times in between those, stuff like this pops up that I just want to make, and that's what we did. So wrapping this up today. But yeah, I'm happy with the way it turned out. I actually like the multicolored little caps, and of course we can't forget can't forget the lucky horseshoe up there. Always got to have a lucky horseshoe. Let's see. I'm going to get caught back up with what you guys are saying here. Let's see. Charlie's here. Charlie says, good morning from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Good morning, Charlie. Oops, I scrolled too far there. Charlie, what are you up to this fine Wednesday? Neptune says, I have to get a bunch of weeds and a wild blackberry away from the house so I can treat for termites. Oh man, don't let the termites, don't let them get away with that. You get those suckers. Don't let them have your house as a snack. Neptune says, thanks, Robert. Right on. Paul says, I have a particular way I want my lawn to look, so I meticulously prepare for it. Prepare it for when I'm old enough to yell, get off my lawn! Yeah, you have the pristine yard. Joe Basement Woodworking says, good morning all. I have a question. I don't know why that comment's cut off. This might be hard to read. I have a question or topic. How do you remove brush marks after the polyurethane has dried? Having issues with this lately. If I was, let's see, I'm trying to put myself in that position here mentally. If I was brushing on some poly, which I have some poly, brush it on, you get the brush marks, and you want the brush marks to go away. There's a couple of things I can think of that that might help, and you can maybe pick and choose. One way that I have done before to help with that is, let's say maybe you applied a couple of coats of regular, right out of the can, basically. When you're nearing the end, you can thin the last couple of coats. You can thin the coats out so that, with a little like mineral spirits, so that when you brush on maybe your last couple of final coats, let's just say I'm just making up some things here. Let's say you put on, I don't know, 3 coats, and you feel that you've got enough on there, and now you're ready to get that final top coat. So maybe you'd thin it a little bit, maybe thin it by half. You could play around with that a little bit, and then brush it on. So when you thin it out, that lets it flow out a little better. So then from there, maybe you brushed on, I don't know, 2 thinned out coats, or maybe even only 1, depending on how it flows out. But I've done that before, and that works pretty well. You may have to put a couple on there and let it keep leveling out, and maybe brush on a couple of coats of very thin coats, and that lets it, like I said, level out some. Another way is to just put on a couple extra coats, and then you can, or maybe several extra coats. Then from there you could level sand it and buff it out, using some buffing compound and stuff. That I've done too. I really like that method. The maybe downside is you, you definitely need more coats than what you would normally do. If you plan on sanding it, you want to have plenty of material on there so that you don't risk sanding through. But so if you want to try that route, just keep in mind that you need to have more coats on there than what you would normally use. But I think I might try the thin coats first, and then see how that works. And if that doesn't give you the results you're looking for, maybe go back to full strength. Don't dilute your entire quantity, right? Just take a little bit, dump it in maybe a mixing cup of some sort, and just thin out a little bit of it. Don't thin the whole thing. And if you don't get the results with the thinned poly, then try just putting on some extra coats, and you might have to level sand and buff it. Hope that helps. Oh man, hang on, I'm catching back up with you guys. Patty's here, Patty! Good morning! Patty says, 2 weeks running, catching a live stream. Happy days! How's everyone doing? I have a special mug of Irish breakfast tea on the go. Right on. I don't have any breakfast tea, but I got some breakfast coffee. Cheers, my friend. Right on. Patty, what sort of projects are you working on these days? Robert says it would be better for me to mow if my yard was more level. I have 2 areas that have about 10 to 15 degree tilt and have to lean a bit to stay upright. Yeah, I've got a couple areas where it's a little bit steep along our driveway that I mow, and that's probably the one area that I might try to mow this weekend. Just some of the weeds are starting to pop up, but there's a couple pretty sideways areas. But I found that the mower can handle it. It's just, can I handle it? Robert says, nice looking rack. Hey, thanks. Yeah, I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work really good. This was fun, a little bit challenging, not because it's difficult, but just because of the size. And yeah, I'm happy with the way it turned out. Paul says to Joe, light sanding and buffing with green or white Scotch pads. Yes, the Scotch Brights are that's one other way. Joe says I tried that and reapplied and looks good wet and still gets marks once dried. Is that with the Scotch Brights? Charlie says, have you tried 4/0 steel wool? Yeah, that's another option. That might take it out too. Neptune says, looks good. Joe says, thanks for the feedback, Paul. I'll try the green Scotch pads. Yeah, and they have all kinds of different ones. The green and the red are my personal favorites. I have used the white, which I think is equivalent to, supposed to be to like a 4/0 steel wool. That one I haven't had great luck with, but it does work. You gotta put some elbow grease in it. Dallas says the humidity has gone up and down here. Anyway, what's that stuff used for? Are you talking about this, Dallo? This contraption? If so, this is a project that I made for my daughter. She's really into riding horses and anything horse related. She's all about it, and she started getting some of her own tack items. And this is a rack for holding saddle blankets, like show pads and whatnot. So they'll just kind of drape over here, kind of like an oversized towel rack, basically. And that'd be something in the bathroom. You put all your towels on there. That would actually work pretty good if you had a giant bathroom. Joe says, haven't tried the green pads or the 4/0 steel wool, only 220 and 320. I'm gonna try them this time. Yeah, don't be afraid to experiment, right? So maybe before you apply any more finish, just go at it and start, and experiment and see if one of those methods works. then, you know, worst case, if it sands through or doesn't look good, you just put some more on top of it, and then, you know, basically start over, sort of. Yeah, and unless you have like a stain underneath, you know, the chance of causing any irreparable damage is probably going to be pretty low. Joe says armor seal, not poly. Sorry. Oh, that's all right. I would imagine the same thing. Now, I'm not sure how you thin armor seal. I don't know if that's a mineral spirits or a lacquer thinner or something like that, or water. But whatever you would use to thin it, you could try thinning it out when you brush it on. Joseph's going to try that. Right on. He says, never thought to thin it. Yeah, I've done that before, and it does seem to help. You could. Now, I'm not familiar with the armor seal. I mean, I know of the product. I have not used it myself. I don't know if you can wipe that on. If you thin it, maybe use a rag and wipe it on. I wonder if that would give you any better results too. Not sure. Robert says, my yard is mostly weeds as well. Can't tell there are any weeds once mowed short enough. Yes, that's exactly how I treat our yard. There's only a couple patches where there's sort of a grass that grows. The rest are weeds. And when you mow it, it looks nice and green and even, and I'll take it. Joe says, I have white and green pads. I don't know why your comment is cut off. Gonna thin it out and reapply for coat number 4. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. Right on, man. Hey, anytime. That's what we do. I try to help each other out, and that's why this community is incredible. It's what we're here for. Hopefully it works out, and if it doesn't, you know what? Catch back with us, and we'll go from there and try to help you out again. Patty says, ripping some ash down to make some floating shelves, then preparing some reclaimed French oak boards for a narrow table that will free, I see it, that will free up some office space but carry some electronics like iPad, laptop. Right on. I got to build a laptop shelf of some sort now. Maybe this afternoon after I finish the video for this. Probably won't be a video. I'm just going to try knocking something together. I was going to live stream from the laptop in a different camera this morning. I had everything set, and I got out here and found that the laptop on the bench doesn't have internet, but if I move it 3 feet this way and it sits near the window, it works fine. So I got to build some sort of a laptop swing arm thing. Robert says to Joe, best of luck with your project. Yeah. Joe says, thanks, bro. It's a late Mother's Day coffee table, so right, fingers crossed. You'll ace it, man. You got this. Neptune says, my yard is all weeds, but 10 of the weeds are medicinal, so I don't like to cut it. I mow everything. We even have a little cactus that grows in the yard, and he gets cut off every year, and he keeps coming back. Joe says, will do. Check you a bit later. Right on, man. Ted says, how did you control your anger when you started? I'm a beginner, and almost everything makes me want to throw my tools through the wall. Ted, I'm with you. I understand completely. You're not alone. First, I would say, what I just said, you're not alone. There are still times when things get very frustrating when you're trying to you're trying to get something done. Even this project that I just finished, I'm not saying that I was going to throw it across the room, but when I was gluing this up, it was extremely stressful trying to line everything up before the glue started to set up and get everything together and get everything squared, and it was very stressful, and yeah, maybe a little frustrating, but mostly stressful. You really just have to, man, I don't know how to say this the best way. It's not uncommon to get stressed out and frustrated when you're working on stuff, but Um, really, it just, I would say just keep at it, you know? Uh, a lot of, a, a lot of being able to handle some of those challenges and frustrations comes with experience, and you can't get that experience unless, unless you get that experience, and if that makes any sense. Um, just know that as a beginner, and I don't know exactly. You say beginner. I don't know exactly where you are in that beginner step, but and that really doesn't matter. But there's a lot of things that I'm trying to figure out how to say that the best way. Um, there's a lot of things that you haven't done yet. I'm gonna assume. Just because you said beginner, there's a lot of things that you haven't done when you're a beginner. When I built the acoustic guitar, I haven't done hardly any of those tasks, at least for building the body, and I just have to be calm and do the homework before you jump into a task. Try to do the um, try to learn as much of the process ahead of time before you actually jump into it. And a lot of times that'll help take some of the mystery out of it. Try to like I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. I'm kind of going off track here, but try to learn as much as you can going in. I've found that helps um, take a little bit of the stress and frustration off of it, because you have a little more understanding of exactly what you need to do. And when those things happen, right? Things happen. You make a wrong cut, or something doesn't fit together like it should. Before you get to that step where you're just like, heck with this, walk away. Just walk away. Go do something else for a few minutes. Just, and there's times when I have to do that. I'm like, I got to stop for a minute and recollect my thoughts. And a lot of times, when you go back at it, at least for me anyway, I find that I can approach things different. My head's not all frazzled, and but a lot of it really is just going to come down to experience, I think. That's just my opinion. You guys, please chime in with any suggestions that you might have. Uh, and just expect that things are not going to go right sometimes. Just like in normal life, right? You get curveballs once in a while, right? And it still happens. It happens to me. And you just have to know that sometimes things are going to break. Things are going to fall apart. Things aren't going to fit exactly like you wanted. The challenge from there is figuring out what you need to do to recover from the mistake or the frustration or whatever. And don't try to keep moving forward. When you get to that point when you're just all upset and frustrated, don't keep working at that point, because you're not thinking right, especially, I know when I get super frustrated, I can't keep working. I'm going to hurt myself, right? You're going to not pay attention and stick your hand into a saw or something, something's going to happen. So try not to keep working when you're feeling all that frustration. But just know that things are going to happen, and you just keep moving forward and building more experience, and it's going to be all right. I don't know if that was any help at all, but I hope so, Ted. Patty says, I think we need a video on that, Jeff. Well, fair enough. I'll just have to do it. See what I was talking about when projects that aren't on the list come up? The only problem is I was thinking of just knocking something together out of, some MDF and scraps, and now I got to make it look a little nicer. That's no big deal. I might throw something together for that, because that would be kind of fun. Neptune says to Ted, at least you will learn more skills when you have to repair the damage. Well, that's another thing too, right? You got to learn how to fix a mistake. I don't know. You guys have probably all heard it, but I've heard the quote before. I don't even know who quoted it. Maybe it's not even a quote. That the sign of a true craftsman is how you cover your mistakes or repair your mistakes or something like that, right? You got to, things are going to break, and we got to figure out how to fix them. And every single thing is a learning experience. Even the negative, when something breaks or doesn't fit right, that's obviously not the outcome we want, but then we got to figure out how to make it work from there. Sometimes that just means, maybe making a new cut or readjusting something, or sometimes you got to make a whole new piece, which is frustrating. But it's all experience. Brian says, just try to relax while building. If you need to, draw every step out ahead of time so you have a game plan. That's a good point, Brian. Let me show you something. I can't reach it without hitting my head. So this thing, it's not super complicated. There was just some dimensions that I was trying to hit. You know what though? I made a diagram. I drew the entire thing up because I sort of envisioned in my head what I wanted, but I couldn't really get a good feel for dimensions. So I made a plan. I probably spent 2 days on and off, just drawing this thing up, playing with dimensions. And that helped immensely, because from there I knew roughly where my what I needed to do. So yeah, even if you don't have to drop something on the computer, you can just grab a napkin, do a napkin sketch, what you're trying to make, and you can kind of rough in some dimensions and cuts, and that helps too. At least going into the project, you've got a plan. You sort of know what you're looking for. This little laptop shelf or laptop thingy, whatever we're going to call it, I sort of can envision it, but I don't have anything drawn up, and I'm probably going to keep it that way. Because if I screw it up, it's not horrible, but sometimes that's a challenge too. Tackle something without a plan. I've done that a lot. But I do believe that having a plan, even if it's just a napkin sketch, can really help quite a bit. Rogue's here. Rogue says, yo, what's up, everybody? What's up, dude? He says, hey, Jeff, always good to see you, man. Right on. What's going on? What are you up to? Rogue says, call that dropping back and punting. Yeah, when you just take a step back, you get to kind of refocus. Charlie says, you will experience true frustration when you have a CNC router. So far, I've only broken one router bit. I don't know how, but... Rogue says, rushing, frustration, anger makes things exponentially worse. Yes, it does. There's so much greater chance of, number one, getting hurting yourself, right? You make a poor choice, you slip, you fall, you do something unsafe that, maybe you're trying to make a cut and you aren't paying attention, you get kicked back. It's dangerous. It really is, trying to work when your mind is you're just raged out because things aren't going super smooth. Yeah, that's the time to walk away. Robert says to Ted, just remember that to throw a tool or project will just cost you more. Stop, take a few deep breaths. Like the saying goes, measure, cut. Don't kick yourself when it still goes south. Yeah, that's true. Just like I said, keep in mind that things are going to happen, and it's okay. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's discouraging. Yes, it'll get you down. But it's okay, right? Most of us, we're working with a medium that, wood. If you're working with wood and you miscut a board, you can get another board. It may cost you a couple bucks extra if you have to go to the store to buy another piece or whatever, but it's just a board. I'd rather miscut a board than accidentally cut myself or hurt myself or, do something silly. Just always be safe. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Rogue says, unless you're a machine assembly line, there's no such thing as a smooth, perfect project. Expect that jerk Murphy and his stupid in-laws to show up. Yep. Yeah, you never know. What's that? Who said that law? Something can go wrong, it will go wrong, or I don't know. Yeah, I think that, for me, that's the biggest thing. Just know that if I'm rushing and I'm trying to hurry through a project, the chances of me making more mistakes is going to be higher. So I try to approach it from a calm frame of mind. I don't know if that makes sense. But depending on the assembly line, I've seen some assembly line stuff go south as well. It's not perfect either. Rogue says, I always sketch any job or project out first if possible, less forgetting and saving a bit on supplies and material. Yes, yes. That is, yeah, that's why, that's one reason why for this particular project, I decided to draw this out. I actually had a limited supply of wood for this. I used local elm. It came from my yard. I milled it up with my chainsaw mill a couple years ago, and I had to dig up all of the pieces that I had left in order to get enough material for this. I had like 4 slabs, and they were the nastiest slabs. Cracks, splits, warping, and they were just the crusty, nasty things that I haven't used yet. And so I had to be very careful with my cuts, because if I screwed up a piece, for most of these, I didn't have another one to replace it. The wider boards right here, I think I had one left. No, I don't. I had these, and that's it. I do have a piece that I could have used for this, but it's not pretty. It had a lot of cracks in it. So by having a drawing, and I knew basically my dimensions, I could plan that out better, and try to make those cuts as careful as I could, and it did help avoid miscuts. Screwing up a piece and having to use something else. So yeah, definitely a drawing. Like I said, even a napkin sketch can really go quite a long ways to easing your frustrations. Patty says, it's a skill in itself to be able to sketch out a project and then interpret as you saw it in your mind's eye. Same as going with the flow and seeing what your creative juices come up with in the now. Yes, I enjoy both. I enjoy approaching a project all from both sides. A project like this, I didn't really need a design, and if I had a limited, or if I had a little bit better supply of lumber, I may not have even drawn that up. But because I knew that my the amount of good pieces of wood I was going to get out of these slabs was going to be just about enough, that's why I drew it up, so that I didn't have to be kind of go with the flow on this one. So it did make a big difference. If it was something I was just buying from the lumber yard or whatever, I may have been a little more free with the plan. But like I said, I had a limited amount, and I knew that I had enough there. I just had to be very selective when I was making the cuts to get the good stuff. And I still had to fill a few cracks on here with some CA glue just to get it closed up. Patty says, was that a chainsaw milling of that elm a couple years ago? How time flies. Yes, this is that elm. I've used all of it that I had. I think I had, I don't know, maybe like 6 logs, 5 logs. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, I did a video on that where I was putting together the mill and milling up the elm. This is that elm. I built a lot of stuff out of this. Some little things, some bigger projects. Did you guys hear that? It's our local resident geese. I built a saddle stand for my daughter 2 years ago, I think. That was out of this same elm. This is out of the elm, which I think is kind of cool because, these are things that I'm hoping my daughter will be able to use for many, many, many years. And it came from the yard of the home where she grew up, basically. So I think that's kind of cool. And yeah, it just kind of that connection, maybe. Who knows? Maybe she won't even care later, but I think it's cool. Let's see. So yeah, Patty, it's kind of crazy, right? Seeing how, from milling it up, which was in a video a couple years ago, milling up some elm logs with a chainsaw mill, and then this is the last of it. I've got just a few small, a few small pieces. I don't know. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe a cutting board or something like that I could make out of it. But yeah, really overall, all those slabs are gone. So I need to get some more logs. Rogue says, do you play games with it? Like a hard to reach, a hard not to reach or something? I got to get it. It's on me to save the world. I got you. I got you. Like when I'm trying to work on something tricky. Yeah. Yeah. Like you feel like you like you've just saved, like you've saved the world when you got your hand inside some sort of project and you're trying to get it and you're twisted upside down and hanging by your foot. And I mainly get that when I'm working on a car. Which, actually, I'm going to have to do here pretty quick. The power steering pump is going out on my vehicle. It's screeching and making a racket. I'm going to have to replace that because I don't want to pay the shop to do it. And it doesn't look horrible. So I'll probably be doing a video on that. Let's see. Robert says prior planning is very important. The more detailed you can get it figured out, the more smoother it should go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Case in point. Patty says, that's awesome. Yeah, I think it's cool. It's got a story from her, 20, 25 years from now. This came from my childhood home and, whatever you would call it. Mike says, heck, if not for many years, she'll have gained the skills from her dad to repair it. She just might. Yeah. This is a side note. So, I've got some of these quick grip clamps. Well, for some reason, I know why. I was mocking up the size of these pipes. And I had it, I just took it in before they were attached, right? So it's just attached with this flange. I took it inside and I used one of these clamps and I clamped it to a chair and just was testing things. I think she's claimed my clamp. She's using that thing all the time now. I'm going to have to buy her own set of clamps. She cracks me up with that stuff. So I'm going to have to buy her a set of quick grip clamps. But yeah, hopefully, by helping me out with different projects and seeing me do different things, and yeah, she's would have some skills to be able to kind of maintain stuff and work on things like that. She knows, and I'm always fixing stuff. She's even brought home stuff from school for like of her friends that broke. It's, my dad can fix it. Hair dude says to Rogue, what are we doing tonight, Brain? Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try and take over the world. Mike says, as a woodworker, you can never have too many clamps. I agree. But if you have too many clamps, then storing them is a bit challenging. But you can't have too many clamps. You cannot have enough space to store them. Harry dude, what are you working on these days? What sort of cool repairs you got in the works? I got a guitar to start working on. Not a build. Well, I got a build to start working on too. But a couple weeks ago, I ended up with an old. I think it's like a '60s made in Japan. I don't even know what kind of guitar. Like I think it's a Conqueror or a Bruno Conqueror or something like that. It's this funky little offset Jaguar-ish body shape, and just got to get it cleaned up and back in order. But the thing's kind of cool. I'll post some pictures when I start working on it. It's got like a 23 and 5/8 or 23 and 3/4 scale length, something like that. Super short scale. The body is tiny, and I think it's gonna be a fun little thing to fix up. I'll probably fix in one of those fix and flip deals, but it's kind of cool. Kind of a cool little guitar. I got to find some replacement plastic or replacement tuner bushings. One of the tuner bushings is cracked and one is completely gone. So Gotta tear that apart, replace some things, and get it cleaned up and ship it probably. Mike says, as a woodworker, you can never have too many clamps. If you have too many, I'll take them. Yeah, I could use a few more actually. Rogue says, I like to envision those bomb defusing scenes in the movies. Imaginary, but overrides the detrimental. And helps you hyper focus for a short time. Yeah, envision yourself with it as the hero in the movie. Ritesh says, can you tell how to raise the fret and if you recrowned it very low without replacing the fret? Short of, if you've filed it too low, if you're crowning, maybe it was high and you went too far, the only thing I know that you could do would be to level all the frets around it. But, not around it, but re-level the fretboard. But if it's too low already, chances are that's going to take it pretty low. There's not any method that I'm aware of being, you can't raise the fret. You can only, it's like, you can't add metal back, right? Once you've gone too far. Like I said, the only other option, re-level the fretboard. If you've got the room to do that, you could re-level everything together and sort of start over. But if that one fret is like taken down so far that if you level the rest of the fretboard, then all of them are going to be too low. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. Then you might have to replace the fret. But I don't know of any way to raise it back up. No. You can't put the material back. That's why it's pretty important to go slow and stop and check your work multiple times before you do go too far. Sounds like that may be where you're at, and I'm sorry that's the case. That's a drag, but you could either re-level everything to that fret if you've got the room, or just replace that fret, and then you can level that with the rest of them. I'm sorry I don't have a trick up my sleeve for that one, but yeah, that's the only thing I can tell you. Harry Dude says, nothing really happening lately. Been ill for over a week. Only got back to work tonight. Got a lot of work backing up, so we'll be busy for the next couple of weeks catching up. Oh, well, I'm sorry you were under the weather. That's never fun. Is that the change of seasons? You're sick of the cold? Tony says, I have too many F-style clamps. I don't use half of them. That's what I think I could use a few more of, and a few more quick grips. I have quite a few of these cheap Harbor Freight clamps, and honestly, these are some of my favorite clamps. Now, I've bent a couple of them, but here and there, but overall, I almost think I want to go pick up another few of those. I have some of these little Irwin ones that don't have any latch. These are my least favorite clamps. But yeah, the F-Styles, I use these most of the time for everything almost. And then the quick grips are great for all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I might have to go get a couple more. I've got this little clamp rack. You can't see it right here, but this little clamp rack's got a couple of spaces on there. And it's mostly all F-clamps. I got C-clamps and stuff in a drawer, a few pipe clamps, but mostly F-style clamps is what I use. Robert says, I have an electrical issue going on with my pickup and I need to try fixing. I have some brush limbs I need to clean up at the house, but can't until I get the pickup running again. Well, what happened to it? Should we do the internet diagnosis? Sounds terrible. Did it just die on you? And is it newer? Older? Give us more information. Paul says, I'm running out of space for clamps. Need to build more clamp racks to hang on the wall. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can have too many clamps if you don't have room to store them. But ideally, we'd have a place to store all the clamps. Mike says, as to working on things, I'm designing a multi-harp holder for the neck rack using magnets. Right now, 3D printing the prototype. Oh, are you talking like the harmonica neck deal? I could be way off on that, but that's what I got out of that. Rogue says, clamps, vices, jigs, 'tis things of beauty. Yes. One day I'd like to get an actual better, like woodworking vice. Brian says, see you next time. Stay safe and take care, everyone. Right on, Brian. Have a good one, man. Tell everyone hello. Ted says, have you ever used steel frets? Seems like they would destroy tools. The stainless steel ones, I have not. I don't know. I just haven't caught on to the what almost seems like everybody likes stainless steel these days. I don't. I can't say. I'm not saying I don't like them. I just don't use them. I mainly use the regular nickel silver, and I've recently used the gold. The gold fret wire. It's not the Evo gold, I don't believe, because apparently that's out of stock or something. But it's the gold fret wire that StuMac sells anyway. But I have heard that yes, they can be hard on tools if you don't use something like a diamond file kind of thing. But I personally haven't used it. Rogue says, I'm actually about to tackle some unfamiliar ground. Got to upgrade the RAM and the hard drive in my all-in-one. Should be fun. Ooh, that sounds like a fun one. So I just did that to this old laptop. My buddy Chaos, who's been on this lives before, gave me this old laptop of his. He was sitting in the closet collecting dust, and it wasn't working great. I had to have I didn't replace it myself, but I had the screen replaced by a local tech in my area. And then from there, I replaced the RAM, maxed out all the RAM as much as it could support, and I just recently was able to replace the hard drive with like the fastest SSD that I could find. Replace the old, spinny regular hard drive. It's now got an SSD, tons of RAM, and it works. Like this thing is, I think it's like 2016, 2015 model. So what, like 8 years old, something like that. It boots in about a quarter of the time my desktop boots, maybe half the time. And my desktop has an SSD, and this thing, it's like immediately boots up. It's working really well. Of course, I have a lot more stuff that loads on my desktop, but yeah, it's definitely a fun. I kind of enjoy working on, messing with computers. I am not a computer tech, but I've built not many, but I've built 4, 5, 6 of my desktops. I always build mine. But yeah, this one works great now, and I don't have any reason to believe that it won't keep working for quite some time. So yeah, but Rogue, one tip. Double check how much RAM that your computer will support. This one apparently only supports 32 gigs of RAM, and I went out and no. It only supports 16 gigs of RAM. I immediately went out and bought 32 because I didn't double check that spec first, and I put the 32 in, and it wouldn't boot. So double check how much you can put in there first before you order it. Speaking from experience. I lost a little money on that one because I had to sell it, marketplace kind of thing, and lost a couple dollars on it. Not too much, but still, it was a frustration. Paul says, don't fret over frets. Easy enough to fix. Yeah, just replace that one if you have to. Robert says, Harry, dude, hope you stay safe and healthy. I do too. Paul says, I have about 200 of those Harbor Freight clamps at $3 each with lifetime warranty. Can't lose. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you know what? I like this grip, right? Yes, it's got some play. And, I've bent a couple of them. When you tighten them down, they... For the price, you can't beat them, I don't think. I like the grip better than... I've got these Irwins. It's got this wood grip on there. Not my favorite. I've got these other Irwins with this rubbery grip. But still, this one's better. I like this grip better than these. And it's just because this is kind of just round. This has like a hexagon type of feel to it. I really like them for $3. I mean, you could not quite throw them away, but $3 is it's still a pretty good deal. So yeah, I need to go. I need to get down that way one of these days and grab some more of those things. Our Harbor Freight, it's not far from us, but I got to drive into town. I don't like driving into town. KK's here. KK says, hello from Greece, my friend. Hope you're very well. Glad I caught the show. The weather here has been crazy. One day it's raining, the next the sun is burning, but it's okay. Well, KK, that sounds very much like the weather pattern we're in right now. We went through a few days of rain. Now we've got a few days of sun. Storms are supposed to pick back up again like tonight or tomorrow or something. More rain. And yeah, it's just, for us here, that's kind of typical of spring in our area. If it follows historically, what I've been seeing is this isn't going to last much longer here. And once we get into June, it seems to like spike in temperatures and get really hot and dry. So I'll take the rain right now. Paul says they're great for gluing tops to guitar bodies and other things. Also use them when routing bodies. Yeah, that's why I bought a bunch. That's the ones that I have. I wanted to get a whole bunch more clamps for gluing tops. And now I use them for about everything. Harry Dude says, thank you, Robert. I'm over the worst of it, just very tired. Yeah. Don't overexert yourself getting back at it, though, Harry Dude. You got to stop and rest. Robert says, I think it's a short in the wiring. If I let the pickup set without starting a couple days, the battery dies. It's a 05 Dodge Dakota. So you got some parasitic draw going on there, it sounds like. Something is drawing the juice. So it sounds like you're gonna have to get in there into the fuse block with with a meter and find out what is on when the key is not. Something's still running, obviously. Check some grounds and that sort of thing. Mike says, yes, you got it. Harmonica holder for 2 versus the spring-loaded single holder type. That sounds cool. Rogue says, exactly, Jeff. SSD and RAM upgrade, no need to buy a new computer. Yes, that's exactly what I did. I've been wanting to get a laptop for a while, and my buddy Chaos gave me that one. He said, I'm not using it, sitting in the closet collecting dust. If it works, cool. If it doesn't, I don't care. So I gotta say thanks, man. I finally got it fixed up and working. And yeah, it was a couple $100 by the time you buy the RAM and the SSD, and now it works great. Harry Dude says, love stainless steel frets. Can't say as I've noticed any additional wear, as I've only ever done one non-stainless steel refret. There you go. Do you use diamond files, Harry Dude, with that? I have heard. Now, this is not from experience, but I have heard that regular files, it can tend to dull them out more. I don't know. Paul says, I use a Mac for 90% of my computer stuff, but I spend my days fixing Windows machines. Paul, I got a question for you then. Well, I know you work on them anyway. When you're going to clone a drive, right? I had to clone this drive, the old one that was in here. I had to clone it over to the SSD. I didn't have any reinstall media or anything, so I wanted to just clone it, pop the new drive in, and make it work. I got a suggestion to try that Macrium Reflect. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. It didn't work the first time I used it, but I replaced the drive with a Samsung. What is it, an 870 or something? Evo 870. I don't remember the name of it. But they have their own tool, the Samsung data transfer tool. It worked instantly. And I plugged it in, and it worked perfect. And it worked better than like this Macrium thing. I think the Macrium was too many check boxes that I didn't check right. And that's why it didn't work. I didn't have to do any of that with the Samsung tool. Not sponsored or anything, but I got to give them a thumbs up because that thing worked great. I cloned it. It took about a few minutes. Pulled the old hard drive out, plugged this new one in, and it booted right up. I didn't have to reconfigure anything. Rogue says, I checked 2 slots, came with 4 gigs in 1 slot, can handle 2 8 gigs per slot. There you go. That's what mine is. It's this particular laptop is 2 slots. Each one can handle 8 gigs. And I slammed it with 2 sticks of 16 and it wouldn't even boot. Neptune says, I have the same issue with a 97 Dakota. Neptunes, get the meter out there. You can find that parasitic draw. If you want to find some great diagnostics information, you guys need to check out South Main Auto Repair Channel. Man, you want to talk about diagnostic expertise. Check him out. He's done several. I've watched several videos on him diagnosing parasitic draw. Stuff like that. Battery goes dead, and finding to track it down. Man, it's great. That's my recommendation. We should start doing that. Recommendations for what you've been watching. Yes, I would highly recommend South Main Auto. Right there on the old YouTube, and yeah, it's great. I've learned so much by watching his process. Rogue says DDR3 SO DIMM RAM. I always do homework before I screw something up. Yep, that's where I messed up. I looked up what kind of RAM was in here, and then I just bought a truckload of it without double checking how much it would actually support. I just assumed that it would support all of what I could put in there, and it won't. Neptune says you misspelled it. It's wind blows. Wind blows. Harry Dude says sandpaper on leveling beams, diamond files to crown, micro mesh and Dremel polishing pads. Only use conventional files to dress fret ends. Yeah, I like the diamond files myself. Paul says Ease US disk copy is the best cloning software for computers. I'll have to check that out. But like I said, this Samsung utility that they have for doing that, I mean, it was incredible. I didn't have to select a bunch of options and, this, that, and the other thing. It just said basically which one you want to clone, what are you cloning it to, and clone. It was super easy. Let's see. Paul says, friends don't let friends use Microsoft. Robert says, Paul, I started out on Mac, but when I switched from the graphics department to where I work to the systems, I had to learn Windows and DOS. Now I use Windows only. Still like Mac. Harry Dude says, I've used Macrium for cloning PC and Mac drives with no issues for years. Surprised you had problems with it. Well, I was too. I'd never used it before. But I was given that suggestion, and they said it works great. And I believe that it was probably user error. And I mischecked some sort of a box or something, because I did find that there was several options in there that you had to choose this, that. I feel like I probably just didn't select something. But yeah, it went through the process, said cloning was complete. I put the hard drive in, and nothing. It wouldn't load anything. Like it didn't even recognize the hard drive. But I used this Samsung tool, and it worked great. So I don't know. I'm not saying anything negative against the Macrium because I've heard good stuff about it. I just feel like that I screwed it up somehow. Neptune says, I'll check it out. Robert says, can't justify the cost of Mac systems. That's another... That is another challenge. And partly why I use PC. Macs are expensive. Paul says, on Mac, I use target mode, startup, and carbon copy cloner to duplicate. Rogue says, I could put on a clinic. Troubleshooting with a multimeter is one of the things I excel at. Right on. Yeah, there is so much diagnostic stuff you can do with just a multimeter and a test light. I mean, you can pretty much diagnose everything. Robert says, yeah, I got a fully loaded MacBook Pro, just over 5K the way I have it configured. Replaced my old Mac, which I bought in 2009. Yeah, see, that's a lot. $5,000. I mean, if it's going to last a long time, which is my understanding they do, I'm not negative towards them. To me, it doesn't matter. I have friends that use Mac, and I have friends that use Windows, and I have friends that use Linux, and if it works for you, use it. It's the way I feel. Neptune says, I like the ease of Windows, but the stability of Linux. Linux has come a long way. I agree. I have tried Linux before. The one thing that I didn't like mainly was you had to do that command line stuff, and I'm not great with that. I don't know a lot of the commands off the top of my head, so I would always have to look things up, and it took me a lot longer to do stuff. But I do like, like the customization stuff. You install the packages and all that stuff for whatever you're trying to do, and it just seems kind of cool. I just don't like the command line. Rogue says, I'm not a fan of Apple not distributing proprietary parts and such, putting tech out of work. Robert says, I've tried to figure out how to use Linux, but that's just beyond me. Same. Neptune says, I don't do terminal either. That's it. That's the word. I couldn't think of it. The apt get sudo stuff. That's about all I remember. Yeah. I like putting them together though. Putting the computers together, speccing out all the parts, and you feel like, trying to find the best prices, and you're putting the machine together and it boots up, and it's kind of cool. The one my desktop right now I built a couple years ago, I think 2020. 2021 maybe. I can't remember. Paul says, was a network guy for 5 years. Command line is the way to go. Can do so much more. I don't disagree with you one bit. I have friends who just know, command line, bop, 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 and it does whatever. The problem is I just don't know. I don't know the commands, and therefore it's not convenient for me. Harry Dude says to Rogue, yes, I follow Louis Rossmann. Great channel for Right to Repair. Neptune says, I have to agree, but I just don't know it. Yeah, I'm the same way. Rogue says, help my buddy build his ultimate gaming rig last year. It's already obsolete. That's the other part, right? You can do a ton of research and feel like you're getting the best of the best that day. And you order up all the parts. Tomorrow they're going to release a new set of things with different specs, and now I tend to run mine until it either dies or it just gets so so slow and outdated. So I will run them forever. Like, rarely will I upgrade just to upgrade, just because I don't want to upgrade it now when I know that the one I'm using currently works perfectly. If I upgraded it now, tomorrow it's going to be older again. So I wait, and then I'll upgrade when the need arises, whether the thing breaks or something. Paul says, FYI, there's a bug in Windows 11. Just released a patch is causing them to boot but not allow logins. We have a ton of users having this issue. Great. I have not switched to Windows 11. And the weird part is, even on my desktop build right now, it says, like when you go to the specs, or whatever screen it is, it says this computer is not eligible for Windows 11. I don't know why. I've not looked into it. But I mean, it's 8 core. It's got 64 gigs of RAM. It's got 2 SSDs and about 15 other hard drives. And I don't know what spec it's missing that causes it to not be eligible for Windows 11. Not that I want to switch. I don't. But I just thought it was kind of funny that I feel that it's a fairly decent computer, but it says it's not eligible. Like, I don't know what it wants. Paul says, don't know if it affects home versions, but we fixed over 200 machines just this week. Wow. Microsoft's working on the fix. Rogue says, I just tie wrapped and cleaned up his wiring. He put it together. Robert says, yeah, I like to build my own systems as well. I currently have 4 computers and bought 1 Dell laptop, and it's just me. I have this laptop now. I have my main PC. Got another PC that my daughters sometimes use. Yeah, that's 2 PCs and the laptop, and then a tablet and other things. But Neptune says, yeah, it's that chip that's required. There's a special chip. Paul says, Windows 11 looks for a TPM chip. You can get around that by making a custom boot disk edit boost so it doesn't look for the TPM chip, and it will install just fine. Interesting. What does the chip do? How does that... I have heard that there's workarounds, but I just thought it was... Like, I don't want to have to hack my computer just to install the stupid operating system. What the heck's a TPM chip do? Rogue says, I don't want Windows 11, but yeah, it doesn't like my processor, can't upgrade anyway. Sounds like mine. Neptune says, really? Good to know. Yeah, I have heard that you have to look at, some people have workarounds that you have to do stuff, but yeah, that makes sense. You have to hack the install. Doesn't even sound like something I want to do. Robert says, I have Windows 11 so far, and I've not had that issue. Only one of my systems has Windows 11. Yeah, I think, like Paul said, apparently there's that chip. It's looking for some sort of thing. And Paul says the TPM is a cryptographic module that enhances computer security and privacy. Oh. So you just take that out, make your own boot disk. Interesting. Yeah. Rogue says TOM. It's probably TPM. What is that? Like new security or something? Sounds like it. Oh, never mind. Yeah, it just cracks me up though that I'm using a fairly decent, what I feel is a decent computer. It's not super top of the line in any means, but it's got pretty good specs, and it's not eligible for Windows 11 because I don't have the TPS reports. Robert says he thinks it's built into the CPU. Interesting. Cool. Well, guys, it is about time we get to wrapping this up. So let's get any last minute questions, comments, suggestions. Also, hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't already clicked it, click that sucker. Click that thumbs up. So, I'm trying to think. Yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. I gotta shoot a little bit of video for this thing, finish up some editing, and probably start working on some sort of a laptop arm. Paul says, I put Windows 11 on my netbook Pro from 2011. Runs bad, but installs. Interesting. I got an old netbook around somewhere. Wonder what you could do with that. I did try to install the Chrome OS on it, and I couldn't get it to go. So probably, again, user error. Neptune says, later all. Rogue says, I'm also not a fan of the new subscription models for everything. No more owning programs. Yes, I understand where they're coming from, but I cannot stand subscriptions. Can't stand them. From the business side of it, from their side, I totally get it. And I'm not knocking them for it. But man, I would rather, drop $500 on some sort of software and own the thing, or $1,000, whatever, depends on what it is. But I'd rather own the thing, own the disk, own the USB drive, whatever, than pay a subscription every month. I just can't stand that. Anyway, enough of that. Short rant done. Paul says, have a great week all. Harry Dude says, cheers, folks. Catch you all next week. Rogue says, Jeff, good to see you, man, later. Always awesome. Patty says, look forward to seeing that arm. I'm going to work on it. I'm going to start planning it out today. Maybe even start cutting some boards. Neptune says, open source. Yeah. Right on, guys. Thanks again so much for taking some time out of your Wednesday or Thursday morning if you're Harry Dude in Australia and hanging out. You guys, stay safe, stay well, get on your shops, build some cool things. Don't be afraid if you're new and just starting out. Make some mistakes. Carry on. Enjoy it. Be safe. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot. Later. Why is that darn button always there? I can't press it every time. Later, guys.